I'd like to share something. It's so lovely to see everyone there. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Janet, and everyone who came together for this moment. I wrote down a couple things of what Ed inspired me in life. And so I'm going to read these moments. What Ed really showed me was a great mirror, first of all, about what I thought life was for me. And I'll share some examples. Every time I would see Ed, either at Sangha or outside of Sangha, but it was usually at Sunday Sangha. He really gave me opportunities to be curious about what my reality was at that time, or what I thought it was, and my perception of reality. Every opportunity, every meeting was a moment for me to decide, oh, I just received some information from Ed, from whatever he just said and spoke. And in my brain, all this is going on at the same time. It's like, okay, well, here's an opportunity for me to decide what I want to do with that information or those words he just spoke. And it was, an opportunity. Like, how do I move forward from here? Because most of the time there was a judgment that would pop up. And I thought, okay, what do I do with this? How do I decipher this? So I'm thankful for Ed for giving me those opportunities and those choices to make. He always acknowledged me. That was another thing. And in those moments, he was so present. He was right there, present moment, wonderful moment. And wherever I was in the room on Sundays, whether I come in late and I was sitting right diagonally behind him, he would turn around, look me in the eye, reach his hand out, squeeze my hand, and acknowledge me. And then turn her back around and get into meditation. Or if we were across the room, we would have eye contact. He made sure always to look at me in my eyes and be very, very strong in his presence. And one of the things that every single time our eyes met, there was that twinkle in his eyes. And there was a little bit of a smile, but always such a twinkle and a sparkle. So that I thank him for that. And with that, I will close up. Thank you, everyone.
Megan, you want to?
We have like a little rental house on our property, and we brought a new tenant in who was kind of a friend of a friend. And we went to Barton Springs one day, and it was our first time getting to know one another. And we ended up getting into a really deep talk about just life and spirituality. And she mentioned to me that she was interested in meditating more and maybe finding a group. And so I offered, I have this Sangha that I just started going to, and it's really lovely. And if you ever want to come with me, please do. And she said she'd been thinking about going to one. She was like, "Where is yours?" I said, "Well, it's at this kind of like a little house down south." And she said, "Wait, where exactly?" I was like, "Well, it's kind of southwest, And she goes, "Do you know Ed Ed and Mary? I was like, wait, I think so. The first time I went to Sangha, it's like he talked to me about his sex life. And she goes, yes, that's him. I was like, okay. Well, she goes, he's my mentor, and he's completely changed my life. And she told me how she had met him at Whole Foods too. So I guess he was there a lot.
Oh, Elizabeth Carroll.
It was Elizabeth Carroll. And
he went up to her and said, "I like your nose."
And she's got a prominent nose, and she was like, "Who is this guy?" And for whatever reason, she followed it. She offered to buy him his coffee, and they sat and talked. And he ended up. She became part of the Landmark Forum, and completely radically changed her life. I think the other piece to this, like, it really helped shape how I saw Ed and Mary both from there. But I'd been debating if I wanted. I was here in Austin, and we had Sangha the next day. And I was like, do I want to kind of sleep in? And I thought that's too much of a coincidence not to go tomorrow. And so it kind of impelled me to go. And then weirdly enough, the next time I had that thought, I ended up seeing Mary out at a wedding. And I was like, well, this is too synchronous. So.
Was that my granddaughter's wedding?
It was.
She was here yesterday. They're going to come later. That is wild. You were sitting behind me at the wedding, and I had pictures, and so I found you later.
I would like to speak. I've known Ed since the beginning of him providing a conduit into the S training. This is before it was even called the Forum. I didn't really become part of that tribe and deeply, nor am I really part of this tribe. I'm sort of on the peripheral of his life as another explorer of certain intellectual ideas and the study of sex and relationships. We used to meet at Barnes & Noble and have these conversations, or Central Market. And I wondered if other people got Ed the way I did, even though, and now I realize you all got him. In terms of his curiosity and his generosity and his willingness to ask the difficult questions, we used to say together, people grow in the direction of the questions they ask. So this was radical honesty. Generosity, curiosity, radical honesty. We were in the presence of a giant when you combine those things together. I've been around a lot of smart people in a lot of arenas, intellectual arenas, and that twinkle in his eye and willingness to be of service to others in the pursuit of truth, or the question of what is true here, Stephen. He used to ask me those same questions. And then he would always end our conversations after we would talk about movies or TVs or books. He would share to give me, you've got to listen to this, it's a podcast. I always followed up. We'd have these conversations, and then he would always end by saying, love you, bye. Love you, bye. And that's what I want to offer to Ed right now. I love you. Bye. Take care.
I don't know no love songs, and I can't sing the blues anymore.
I just wanted to say how much I'm enjoying you, Mary, and how much you're enjoying this time, and just what a I don't know how to put it into words exactly, but
the fact that you and Ed could find each other is like proof of something to me. Like, I'm like, how in the world could these two people who are so matched for each other and so weird, possibly find each other? And I've
loved getting to see the two of you together and your relationship, and I just love getting to see you. Thank you for this, and thank you for everything.
Thank you, Asenath.
There's so many lessons that imparted on to all of us
And I've been sitting here thinking we don't need to rehash them all because those ripples go out regardless, but I do feel compelled to try to capture some of them. So in relation to family, he and people have kind of touched lightly on it, but he really was into healing your relationship with your parents and all that. My father was a very strong, tough man who had not really had a childhood, and therefore it's very difficult for most people to give what they never received. And so in some ways I didn't have much of a childhood either in some ways. But Ed was able to really heal that. He said, you know, fathers can be very hard on their sons because they realize life is going to be tough and they want them to survive, and so they try to toughen them up, and it's their act of love for their sons to be hard on them that way and everything. And it really opened up something for me to frame my father in that way and help me really heal that. And as a result of that, when I was trying to help raise 5 boys and everything, I was able to be a lot softer than I had been treated. Okay, don't squeeze them too tight, Liam. You gotta just hold them firm, but not too tight. And it opened up a lot. And I was really able to frame that in trying to be the best balance of service that I could to those boys, to help them be effective in their lives, and also to let them know how much they were loved in the meantime. And I got that from Ed.
So the last thing I want to say is that like one of the really great things about Ed is that you don't have to wait to be perfect or good or even normal to make a difference for people.